Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine Krnjetin and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
Hey, good morning, Jasmine. Welcome to our show.
Nice to have you, Alan.
Yeah. I'm not running on full cylinders. It was my birthday last night, and I'm still recovering.
You're still recovering.
Yeah.
You're still recovering.
My voice, you'll definitely hear it by my thought process on this podcast. So probably not in the best shape to be recorded and live streamed, but you know what? The show must go on, and I didn't want to disappoint you or our awesome guest today. But before we bring in Nick Fitzpatrick of Keller Knapp, who's a very investor-friendly agent, and we're going to pick his brain on all his great success. What's happening in the mortgage world? Anything exciting this week?
Yes, it's been a couple exciting weeks in the mortgage world. Long story short, interest rates have started going up on us. And so that is making me really think about my clients and affordability and what that means for the people that we work with. So just to give you an idea, like interest rates have gone up by a full percentage point compared to January of last year to January of 22. So we were at 2.75. Now we're really closer to 3.75 on the interest rates on just like your average 30-year loan. And what that really means for our clients, let's say that you were borrowing $500,000 at a 2.75 rate, that's a $2,100 payment. At the current rate, that bumped up by $200 a month. So your monthly payment on the exact same house has gone up $200 a month. And I think what the fear is that the interest rates are going to keep creeping up. And before we know it, we're going to be in the low fours. And next thing you know, that monthly payment is going to be $2,500 a month, right? So $400 difference on a $500,000 home. So I just think it's really important that we talk to our clients about it, because it is possible that some of our people have gotten approved at the top of their debt to income ratio. And so maybe they can no longer afford that $500,000 loan. They need to be thinking about, something less expensive, even though prices are pushing up. So It's going to be a pickle.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's still going to be a bit of a housing shortage. There's going to be a lot of demand on the real estate agent side. Typically, interest rates going up will lessen that demand and also prices, but I still don't think it's going to move the needle much in terms of the frenzy that we're probably in for early 2022. At least that's my expectations. But It's good to have those conversations and those buyers who maybe not on a timeline to kind of poke them and say, hey guys, just want to let you know, just share that story you just said about houses are going to get more expensive just based on interest rates going up. So that might get some of those sidelines to kind of get moving.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a good reason to just touch base with people and, reevaluate and make a new game plan if we need to, right? Much better to think about it before you're under contract than to realize after you get under contract that your clients can no longer afford a home. So
Right. Okay.
Fun times. Yay.
Yeah. So there's struggles about not finding a home. Our guest today, Nick Fitzpatrick, and I, we were recently talking about how sometimes it's difficult to not get a home because you can't get in touch with another agent or there's an agent that is elusive, and so we're talking about some strategies and I'll share some stories. So let's bring in Nick Fitzpatrick, and welcome to Agent Upgrade, Nick.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yay, welcome. We're super happy to have you. It's exciting to visit with you. I have known you since you first got into the business back in 2014.
14, yep.
Yeah, so it's been super fun to watch you progress and hone your skills and how should we say upgrade upgrade your real estate business. So we are super excited to have you. What are some of your favorite topics? What do you love to talk about?
The economy, housing, real estate in general. It's kind of what I read and what I consume. Outside of that, it's just sports. I mean, I'm pretty straight, simple guy. I don't have too many hobbies. I sell real estate, and we try and know everything about that market, and then sometimes watch sports. So,
what's your team?
oh man,
The Falcons.
Falcons all the way.
Yeah, okay. All right.
you got to be ready at a moment's notice.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think
Nice.
that the Atlanta teams are having a relatively okay year. Maybe not the Falcons, but there's some hope. I think we've got the Braves did really well. Our soccer team is doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What about
University of
our basketball?
Georgia, my alma mater, won national championship. So
Yeah.
I'll call that an Atlanta sports team. But
yeah, they count.
Yeah. See, we're like it's amazing considering our history. So, all right. So let's go back to our mutual love, talk about real estate.
Yeah.
Because if we start talking about economy, everybody else is going to fall asleep. So let's not do that.
All right. Let me kind of intertwine. So I was backstage listening to what you're talking about with rates going up and everything like that. And it's funny, when I joined in 2014, the kind of old school realtor sales pitch was buy now before the rates go up. And I'd studied and I think, well, rates actually seem like they're going to stay pretty constant for a while. And it turned out they went down. We bought either investment properties, primary homes, or refied every year from 2015 to now 2022. And so over these past 7 years, we've had at least 7 mortgages. And I could chart them where they were going down, 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 down. And now this last one just kind of ticked up a little bit. And that leads into kind of what I want to talk to today. We talked about, or Alan just brought up, rising rates will kind of quell some demand from the buyer side. I think what we're really going to get into this spring and this summer is a perfect storm of just agents and buyers panicking, because now buyers already have low inventory. We know that's been around forever, but we have low inventory. They're scared that the home prices are going to go up. They've been going up 15, 20% in some markets. And now, like you said, the house they could have bought 2 years ago for $350,000 is now $450 last year. It's going to be $500 this year, and it's going to cost $400 more on a mortgage. And so I think we're going to see just an insane bidding war this spring, with people just trying to get anything and everything they can.
Yeah,
which is scary.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that. This may be just a fluke, but like this last week, I think we got 8 contracts in, and 4 of them fell out on inspection. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, I have not had that many contracts fall out on inspection one after another. And I'm just curious, like, are people just kind of like, there's nothing in the market, so people are just kind of throwing anything onto the market, and then is that what's happening?
Hey, we need a house in City of Decatur schools. We got to go now. They find the right one, and then typically you'd stop your search. And according to the Board of Realtors, the ethical thing is to stop your search and not put under contract multiple houses if we can't buy multiple houses. But typically we'd stop, do inspection, get through everything, and close. Now I think you have people who keep looking. They keep searching for homes, and as other stuff comes up, then they're popping out from that. And maybe they blame a bad inspection, or maybe it's just over eagerness to get something.
Yeah, it's the bidding wars that creates the most often for contracts to fall apart. Like, terminations typically happen in a bidding war situation. They have that regret. They want to get the house no matter what. They missed out on the last 5, and then it's theirs, and they take a deep breath, get an inspection, and they're like, wait a minute, we can't afford it. So we don't really want this. We just wanted to win a bidding war.
Yeah.
But so Nick, I always love running into you in the office, and hearing your stories with investors, because you and I both work with a lot of investors, and I always try to convert sometimes investors into realtors, and then realtors into I definitely try to turn realtors into investors. I think that we're all practicing the same thing, and that's really where you get your reps and your chops in. It's difficult working with investors, though. It's not easy. Everyone thinks it's a walk in the park where investor comes in, he's like, I want to buy $1 million investment every 6 months. Let's go, do. But that's probably not been your experience.
No, I wish it was.
Yeah. Like that's what people think. And it's like, no, it's you send 1,000 deals to one investor and they may reply to your deal. And then out of the blue, they'll call you and say, let's make a move on this deal. And everyone works a little bit differently, but I'd love to hear how you cultivated your investing clients.
Yeah, I just kind of fell into it. We were speaking the same language when folks would come to me and talk about backsplashes and backyards and everything. I just wasn't the language that I had. But then they started talking to me about, okay, here's what we're looking for. Here's how we're looking to build a portfolio. I started bringing in some business background of, okay, you think this is passive income. It's not passive income. You're building a business, and you start teaching folks about customers and products and really how to run a side business, which is what I think real estate investing is if it's handled properly. And that just snowballed. And so I'm to the point now where about 75% of my clients are some type of investor. That's everything from buying and holding a single family home. I have clients who do renovations and flips, small apartments, some land deals, some development stuff. It's been about 75% of it at the end of the day is someone trying to put money to work for themselves in the real estate market. And really, last year when everyone else had the bidding wars, we were dealing with the same stuff. There's a lot of cash out there. People are hunting for deals. People are trying to allocate money, which is, I think, the best way to look at it. And so I'd have a great client. I might have a client who's a heart doctor, which I do. And he's looking to buy some different stuff. And this is not a guy who's calling trying to get things 60 cents on the dollar. He wants to pay a fair market price for a fair market property. But I'm calling, hey, what's going on with this? No call back. Hey, we're interested in making an offer. Okay, we'll make an offer. Well, isn't there's like, we're supposed to sell. This is a sales career. What's going on with it? Is the seller doing a 1031 exchange, or we need to maybe be patient in closing? Is there something important here? Do they need to close quickly? What's going on? And I would never get anything. And so here I am papering out offer after offer, doing the best I can. And the acceptance rate is, 10, 15%. Well, from my perspective, I'm not helping my clients win. I'm not helping the other side win because I know I have good clients. We're not going to fall out of contract 5 times. And, it was a waste of time is what it was. And so this all started me down the path of, okay, how can I best help the market? How can I best set the example? And how can I get wins for everybody? And
I want to cut you off real quick because before we get there, it's so frustrating as an agent when you submit something, you can't hear anything back, right? Because when you worked up the offer, obviously someone's excited to make an offer, they want to buy the property, and then you don't hear anything back. And the frustrating thing is then it makes me look like a bad agent because then my client's like, well, did you make the offer? Yes. Did they get back to you? No. Well, did you follow up? Yes. I've left 3 voicemails. And, I find myself taking screenshots of text messages, texting that I just left them a voicemail. Hey, forward the email. Like I had to prove that I'm actually doing the work that they wanted me to do. And I don't like being in that feeling where because I feel like I'm losing trust with my client. So I can't wait to hear.
Well, to that point, you have clients who are following up with you. Hey, can you check in with them? Hey, can you check in with them? So now instead of me being the professional who's guiding them down this path, who's the Sherpa showing them how to get to real estate riches, I'm their assistant who's being told what to do.
Yes.
Because they think they need to drive the deal and just don't understand because they don't do this.
Right.
It's tough. It's tough. I think that I had a conversation with a listing agent, which kind of made me realize the other end of it can also be just absolutely brutal. Because, this was like one of her, she had not had that many listings. She was more of a buyer's agent, and she put out this house. It was like 300,000. She got literally like 48 offers on it. And she's like, the moment I listed this thing, she's like, it's as if my phone caught a virus. I had to turn off the darn thing because it was blowing up. She was like, I couldn't answer the phone fast enough. So she was like, I'm just going to turn off my phone and I'm just going to wait for the emails to come in because she couldn't control it. And so she literally ended up getting like either 42 or 48 offers on the property. And for an agent that's not in it all day long, that's not doing listings and is not used to, she was like, I don't even know where to start with all these offers. Like, do I make a spreadsheet? Like, how do I even, like, what do I even do with this? So I do have sympathy for the other side too, because it's difficult unless you're used to this crazy of a market and you know how to deal with multiple offers coming at you from everywhere. It's a really tough position for both sides, I think. And of course,
but I think it also, a lot of times it's a house that I've seen on the market for 3 months and you make an offer.
That's a different problem.
Like, that's why the house isn't selling, because you don't even reply to the offers being made on it, right?
And that's a value proposition that we have when we go into a listing appointment. Hey, you have in this school district an immaculate house. We talked about pricing. You're going to price it at the market. Everything's done well in the marketing. You're going to get 50 responses. I can handle it. I know how to do that. Does the other person who, maybe has taken on 10 other listings that week, are they the best person for that? I don't know. Sell it to your advantage. But at the same point, I've heard it from agents who say, hey, I'm going to list this property, but I can't do it until next Wednesday. Not because they think that's a magical day for the market, but because they're have a spouse's birthday, and they know they're going to be busy and they want to be available. And so what I did, kind of brainstormed on this for a while and really got my best test case was this month. I had 3 listings that I knew were coming up. I talked to all the sellers, said, hey, look, it's the holidays. Thanksgiving just happened. Sign a listing agreement. I will go and quietly market it to people who I know. But trust me, your best bet is going to be after the new year, about a week after the new year, and it needs to hit the open market. Because I can bring you an offer right now, but that offer is probably just going to be for whatever price that we put it on. And so we went live, and the same thing. Phones started blowing up. We're in meetings doing different things, but calling people back. And really the value I was able to bring to my clients was coaching the other agents. So the other agents would call, and here's how typically it goes. Hey, Alan, I see you're listing 123 Main Street. Do you have any offers? Well, yeah, I have offers. That's what this environment is. Okay, when are you going to review the offers? Sunday. Okay, bye. And there's no value that you just brought there to your client. Maybe you get an offer, but they're not going to have anything differentiated. So, one property I had, we got 2 offers immediately, and one was not good and one was good. But then one in the middle came in, and I could tell that agent took the time to call me, sell her client, give the experience. I knew she'd be someone who I answered my phone, she answered hers. And I ended up saying, hey, look, you're not the highest offer. We haven't made a decision yet. Can you get up to here? Because we think you're the one most likely to close the deal. So all things considered, if you guys can get to there, I think we can make a deal. And so we were able to. And that resulted on that one, additional $13,000 net to seller.
Which and you got to work with the agent who picks up the phone, who knows what questions to ask, who's a joy to work with. I mean, that adds so much value to everyone too. Like your seller might not see it because you're the face-to-face contact, but they see it, and that the closing dates stay the same. The inspection requests are reasonable and rational, and everything's moves forward.
Yeah,
we all know that buying a house is not going, looking at it, buying furniture, and closing on it. There's a lot of different things that we have to do. And Jasmine's team has her part of it. We have our part of it with the contract work and inspections and everything. But just being aligned with somebody and being able to say, hey, look, here's a small little hiccup. Let's not make it a big deal. Let's figure out a solution together and get it solved so everyone's happy. And that goes a long way. I had a different one where we again, we're trying to time the market. We're trying to figure out exactly what the right price point is. Studied it pretty closely, went on the market, and immediately, again, had 15 offers. And some of them were not good. And I just let them know. I said, your offer is not competitive. So, and part of that is now I am becoming lazy. I don't want to have 15 follow-up emails or phone calls asking why their offer didn't get accepted. I told you up front before we decided you didn't have a competitive offer. So now you can set expectations. But on that one, we got a really good offer. 14,000 over what we expected, was not the highest offer. On these tenant occupied investment properties, a lot of times there are problems. Went back through, texted or emailed every single agent, letting them know, hey, we ended up not taking the highest net to seller, but we took some other terms that were favorable. I'd already coached them on what was important to my clients. And sure enough, after 2 days, we fell out of contract. So now, at least when they open their phone and look at their text message, my last response was something where I'm trying to help them. And so when I'm saying, hey, guess what, Alan, we fell out of contract. Are you still interested? They are. Or when they look at my email, at least they know, okay, he was responsive, he helped, and hopefully we can get those people back engaged. We're still in due diligence on that one, so I won't share what we have going on with the new offer, but it's still the same thing.
And so you did, this is great. This is why it's always great doing a deal with you as well. Like, you treat everyone, with respect, and you're coming from a good place. Have you found strategies to break through when you're on the other side and you kind of hit the block ball from the agents, or is there much that you can do? Yeah.
It's going to depend. I mean, there's some point, if that person just doesn't want to do anything, then no. But I've done things like try and say, hey, this is a really important client of mine. If you can just help me kind of I can guide this for you. I can take this off your shoulders. Yeah. I had a guy who he was selling a portfolio of duplexes. There were 3 of them last year, and we did one deal together. He saw that I ran with it, and he didn't want to be responsive. So he said, hey, they want to sell these other 2. Will your people do it? Nice. He knew we would close, and he didn't have to do it. So that's one thing. Otherwise, setting expectations with the clients. So that way we don't go back in that situation where they're like, have you followed up 15 times, blah, blah, blah. Right. Hey, look, here's the deal. I've tried to reach out. I don't have the magic bullet on this one. Maybe we get lucky, but then we'll see.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, your choices are, if the agent won't email you, text you back, return your phone calls. Like that's the first 3 to start. Yeah. The only thing you can do is call like the brokerage, right? The managing broker, which I think I've maybe done once. And then I feel like I'm tattletale or something. And it's like, dude, I'm trying to make you money. I'm trying to make us both money. Like, this is a good call. And I have to call your brokers to get your attention on something. And, of course that's usually not well received. And then they're like, no, we're not doing a deal with you, or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, well, you could have told me that, 10 emails ago. Right. But
I think also leveraging your relationship with your lender can be really good, because I like it when I'm working with my real estate agents and I'm in on the planning with them. Like, we're going in, we're 7-day due diligence, no appraisal. Like, we have a game plan together. And then once the offer is submitted, they'll usually copy me on the offer. And now I know who the agent is. I know what's happening. And then I'm calling. And there have been several times where I will get the hold of the listing agent because maybe they haven't seen my number. And I'm like, hey, you've got an offer for my client. One time I literally had a listing agent pull the offer as I was talking to her. I was like, I know they're only putting 3% down, but trust me, this is a really good deal, right? And so she pulled it as I was talking to her, and we were under contract 15 minutes later because she had not realized what a good offer it was. She was just sorting by cash offers and 20% down. I was like, no, pull our offer. Take a look at what my clients are giving you. And so you could maybe do that as a tool, like leverage your lender, get them in the game with you to help you reach the listing agent and get some traction. Maybe they have your number blocked, but not ours.
Yeah,
I hope not.
Yeah, I like it in a bidding war. I've had a few times where the lender situation called me and said, "Hey, you don't have the offer yet, but I just pre-qualified the clients. The offer's coming." And so I was just straight to the point, and it felt, because all the time people are like, "Yeah, an offer coming, and it doesn't come." But then if it's like the agent says that, and then the brokerage calls and says that, and you're up against a deadline, and we're all a team. It sounds like this. It feels like a team effort at that point, and we all want to get it done. Yeah.
I always feel like I'm behind a ball if the listing agent calls me to ask me about the clients. I'm like, I'm totally behind a ball here, right? Like if they're calling me, and ultimately, like I kind of find those calls funny because like the listing agent will call and be like, "So tell me about your client." I'm like, "They're great. So they're going to close on time. Everything is good." Like, I'm like, does the lender ever tell the listing agent my borrower sucks? I don't know. Like,
they're broke, poor credit.
You're barely scraping by.
Could be dicey.
Can't afford this property. We just sent over that letter to get them off.
Right. No, all my clients are great. What are you talking about?
I think a lot of it is, like I said, we have in every deal, we have roadblocks, we have hurdles, we have some point of friction or conflict. And hopefully that's just, hey, we put in a 6-day due diligence and we're only going to accept 5. Hopefully that's the end of it. But there are points. And so I think a lot of those calls are also good for each side to vet out the other side. Hey, this lender is awesome. They're proactive. They know what they're doing. They have their systems in place. Hey, this attorney is awesome. I know that if there's a deed issue that we need to get corrected, that they're going to be responsive to it. Especially in the investment world, and I consider investment properties and owner-occupant properties to be 2 different businesses. And that's part of the value I bring, is there's not many people who can bridge that gap between them successfully for both sides. But we deal with lower cost vendors, and then when something happens, we don't have that team mentality that you really have to be successful. And so selling that, hey, we're good all around, everyone's good.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. And I find also, like, the closing attorney that you choose, like closing attorneys can make or break like that last impression. You know what I mean? Like at the closing table, like if you have a good closing attorney, and even though there is crap happening in the background that nobody needs to know about, that closing attorney is going to make, hey, everything is great. I'll give you guys a call. You go have lunch, enjoy, bye-bye. And meanwhile, it's like in the background, like, what the hell happened here? Let me correct the title.
We don't have funding. They don't have insurance policy, but they have that bedside demeanor.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like super calm, slick. Everything is good. Because I feel like, buyers, they just don't know what to expect at the closing table, and if you have like a nervous closing attorney that's just, oh my God, what? They have to do another verification of employment. Is everything going to fall apart now 3 minutes before closing, So you've got to have your people. Of course, I think inspectors, closing attorneys, on my side, on the lending side, we have our appraisers. It's similar, in the way that, like, even though the lender does not get to pick specifically which appraisal is going to get assigned to which, property, just knowing that, for me, like, you can pick any one of the appraisers on our list. We've worked with them for over a decade. They're always going to be responsive. If my underwriter needs an extra comp or a comment or whatever, that appraiser, the good appraisers are going to, do what they're supposed to do, versus if you just round robin and end up with some appraiser that's never appraised a property, say in City of Decatur, and, and then they ghost you. That's it's like, you can't close, like you can't get a hold of the appraiser. It's like, what is going on right now? Like, dude, I need an update. We need final inspection, whatever that is. And they're like, sorry, we're on vacation.
I had a deal last year where we were looking at buying 2 duplexes. decided just to buy one, and they're lower end price points for duplexes, and we couldn't get an appraiser out there. The lender just didn't have anybody, and so that's one thing we coach up, our investor clients, that you got to have this good team.
Yeah, and that list, Jasmine, back to that list of appraisers that works for you, and I didn't realize this till recently, but you get to pick who's on that list and who's not. So if you have an unresponsive appraiser, you can just say, hey, you're not on our list anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to, like, if we have an appraiser that is not performing, they're just not going to get assignments anymore. Right. I mean, it's just, and that's one of the reasons you want to work with a local lender. Like, it's one of the things that we always have to coach our clients on. Well, Rocket's got these great rates. Come on, seriously.
Right.
Like, that appraisal will come in $75,000 under or something, maybe, if you're lucky. So, yeah.
Sorry, the lawn guy's coming right by my window here, so I'll be
yeah, I see him. Nick, you take over the mic. You and I can talk for a little while.
Yeah, really, it just everything we do, or everything I do is okay. How can I build my brand? How can I build my clientele? Really, just get them these wins, so that way they want to tell their friends. People who like investment properties tend to know other people who like investment properties. I always tell the joke, I will talk to anybody who has a lot of real estate. That really benefits me. And especially with younger clients as well. They are connected more on social media and everything. It's not just strictly word of mouth of their, people in their neighborhood. Like you said, that experience just matters so much. It's definitely something where if I do an autopsy of every deal I've had that's gone wrong, it's always, it's had one of these components to it. Either someone wasn't communicative, we had a weak link in the team, or it just was a bad experience. And at the end of the day, the buyer just said, forget it. I'm out of here. I can't be, treated like this. And I can't, have these people fight me over $1,000 when I'm paying them $5,000 more than they want, whatever. Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough, but having that experience is what leads to positive reviews and more money for us.
Yeah. I think you do a good job, Nick, of setting the expectations, the path, like telling your clients, this is what happens in appraisal, and this is what we would expect from the appraisal, and this is what happens at the closing table. Like there, you seem to have this, like you called it a Sherpa, like I'm your guide. This is just follow along, and you lay out the path. And I think a lot of those deals where it's very stressful on both sides, or at least on one side, and you're smooth and relaxed, and you're like, what's going on the other side? A lot of it is the agent might not have set expectations of what to expect, because we do this every single day. They probably do it every 7 years. So it is, the process changes over 7 years. So it's like doing it again. So I think that's like you said, is the autopsy of a deal that's failed. A lot of times it's expectations were out of whack, it's many surprises.
Yeah, I think one thing that I have found interesting, and I have really started talking to my clients about this, like the moment, I am having a mortgage conversation with somebody, I am immediately talking to them about, the next house that they're going to buy, and the next house that, like planting that seed immediately, like, because I find that, like, I have actually failed a lot of my clients, because when I get a client that calls me and like, hey, I bought a house last year, can I buy an investment property this year? I'm like, dude, I like totally failed you. Like, if you do not know how many houses you can buy, what your budget, like start talking about that immediately. And I've also just kind of started coaching my clients, especially my couples, when I have like high income couples coming in, and we can pull off say they're buying their first house, and we can pull that off on just the husband's income or just the wife's income, instead of automatically putting 2 borrowers on every single loan. I'm like, we got to start day one. We're divide and conquer, 10 properties for you, 10 properties for you, like immediately make that call. And I think it starts as early as like that initial pre-qualification conversation, right? So that then, you know, Nick and I can work on a deal, and then we're all on the same page. They're already thinking about like, what's my next home? What's my next investment? How am I gonna do this? Because it seems that it's just like such an, you know, as long as you can put together some money for a down payment on these investment properties, it just seems like such a good, easy way for people to build wealth. And I think that it's super exciting that we get to do that for people. Like looking back, I'm like, we, you know, I think like, you know, 30 years from now, I'm going to look back, I'm like, all these people, they've built all this wealth because of the work that we've done. You know, it's pretty awesome. I like that.
Yeah, I love closing an investor, and at the closing table, it might be their first investment, and they're like, "Oh, they're so excited." I'm like, "Okay, well, you available to go look at homes your next investment tomorrow?" And they're like, "Really? Like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah." They're like, no, we're not. This is not over. The path is not over. That's step stuff.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, you know, it does smooth things down the line when you've worked with somebody a couple times and they trust you. You guys know each other. But it is fun. I've seen some clients of mine who have truly built businesses, and it started with, "Hey, I saw you commented on this blog. I'm looking in Atlanta. What's going on?" You know, and now they have 7 different properties, 8 different properties, and one of the spouses works part-time to spend more time with the kids. Like, that's cool. That's rewarding stuff we get to do.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
So what would you say would be your advice for maybe a new agent who's like, "Oh, this sounds great. I want to start working with investors." Like, where does that start?
Yeah, give them my number and send all your good investors over to me. Anyone who says they have a lot of cash, just, you know,
Nick is your guy. If you got cash, Nick is your guy.
Yeah, the ones who don't have the cash, you work. No, really work under somebody, kind of get a feel for the different ways you can invest. You might know everything about buy and hold, but you've only been buying turnkey properties and you've never, you know, put a tenant in there or anything like that, or you've never done a home renovation yourself. And so you don't know what's going on. Like, work under somebody. "Hey, I see that you're renovating a house right now. Can I like tag along and kind of see what happens when you pull up that bathroom subfloor and it's disgusting?"
Right.
So that way you can at least advise your clients. I mean, you know, I can't walk into the dentist and say he has cavities and, you know, that tooth, and that tooth. But I can walk into a property and say, "Hey, here's what the rent's going to be because I've seen this a ton of times." Or, "Hey, I see that we're talking about doing this type of renovation in this neighborhood, but let me tell you what I've seen. Let me tell you what the market's going to bear." So just work under somebody, kind of see if you can help them out, help another agent out or another investor, and just learn whatever sector you want to work in. And so that way, when you go to advise clients, you have that knowledge.
Like, in some ways, investors are easier clients because there's no emotion. Like, just a lot of times it's a spreadsheet decision, how much it costs, what are the repairs, and how much can I get out of it or rent it out for? Or they know exactly what they want. They've bought 50 properties before, and it's just, "Hey, I want this property. I know this neighborhood. This is what I'm willing to pay. Can you write an offer for me? I don't need to look at it." You know, and so, but it takes time for that investor to get in that headspace. But once you can also groom your investors eventually to get into that headspace. And, you know, I think I wrote a book, House Fire, Financially Independent, Retire Early. It's for real estate investors, but I wrote it for real estate agents to read about how real estate investors think. And like you said, you left a comment on a blog in a real estate forum or something like that, Facebook group, real estate Facebook groups, just comment and see what questions. There's always the exact same questions over and over again. And as soon as you know how to answer those questions, you know, what ARV is after repair value and cap rates and things like that, just learn the few little acronyms and the formulas, and you can talk like a real estate investor. It's not that hard, but definitely it's easier to mentor, you know, get a mentor that's investing. It doesn't even need to be a real estate agent, or a real estate agent that does invest or works with investors. I love that advice, Nick. I think that's all that really will push you forward in that direction.
Yeah. I agree. And Alan, you are looking to hire an agent. So if anybody needs to work,
There you go.
like you were saying, Nick, Alan is hiring.
Got to study under.
Well, yeah, I've got, a big part of my business is investors, and but that's because I was an investor before I was a realtor, so I had a network of investors, and those investors just started asking me to be their realtor, and I was like, okay, I'll go get my license, and then it's been great. So and so many people, because I shared the story before, like when I get stopped in the grocery store, or I run into a neighbor on the sidewalk walking the dog. Hey, Alan, what have you been up to? I'm genuine, I'm authentic. Oh, I'm just renovated this house, or hey, we just listed this home. I got this duplex. I just helped a client with a triplex, or whatever. Just sharing what actually I was up to that day or week or something like that. And it circles back to me, and in like 6 months, that neighbor person at the grocery store, Alan, I'm thinking about doing a triplex, and you were telling me about that triplex. Or I've got someone at work who has a duplex that they're going to want to sell, and they don't have a real estate agent. Is that something like you? And it's like, oh yeah, this. And then it's just, you talk. Success begets success. Like you talk about what you're doing right now in the real estate investment space, or that you're learning or whatnot. Then it comes back to you, and that's. There was no forethought or thought. Now I'm like trying to be a little bit more conscious of what I'm saying to people on the street, because I'm like, wow, this could turn into something 6 months down the road.
Well, what I love about working with investors also, especially in this time and age where there is thousands of Facebook groups and social media, like as a realtor in Atlanta, your audience is not just people looking to live in a specific neighborhood in Atlanta. Like literally, you can have investors contact you from Greece or Hawaii or wherever if they're interested in buying an investment home in Atlanta, right? Because like Atlanta has made several top 10 cities lists, all that kind of stuff. And I find that, if you're clever and use some social media, and you can easily attract investors from anywhere. Like they're going to be like, we want to buy either in Atlanta or in LA or in Chicago. And, I have several agents working for me. And then when you see something for them, again, like you were saying, Alan, not a very emotional transaction. It's just like, hey, this is what it needs to meet. And I think that's kind of exciting. I get excited about the idea of just like a really broad reach, as opposed to just like your little circle of 300 Facebook friends, right? Like you can just, through Reddit or whatever, you can put your name out there, and people can just kind of get to know you as the investor realtor in Atlanta.
There are a ton of people looking to put money into Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And Alan, I don't know about your phone, but I mean, I used to not, before I got into real estate, if I had an unknown number from outside Georgia, I would not pick it up, because I'm like, I don't know anyone in Utah. Why would I answer this? And, obviously as real estate agents, what we talk about, your job is to answer your phone. But now Washington State, California, I mean, all over New York, phone just rings nonstop. And it's people who say, hey, we read online about some things going on in Atlanta. This company went there, that company went there. We're interested in buying a property. What do you think? So it does help to be an Atlanta cheerleader when I can talk with them about everything we have going on, with what companies come in. But yeah, we get a lot of people who want Atlanta.
Yeah. If you work, whoever, our audience is nationwide, but if you work in a growing city, that's a huge signal for real estate investors, because that means their value is going to grow in whatever real estate they purchase. And what makes for a growing city? The headquarters getting, built in a new city, or a new company opening up another branch, a university going in and doing something great, a new park coming in. But you can see all sorts of census data to see, fastest growing cities, or if you have population growth in your city right now, you're experiencing that, then you're probably primed to work with investor, and investors are probably already looking in your area. So that's a indicator.
Get ahead of that. Where the company's going to, find some stuff around there, start trying to cultivate those seller leads over there. So when somebody calls you and says, hey, I saw XYZ's is going to Norcross, and you're like, hey, I actually know about 2 duplexes in Norcross. they might be good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah. So, and then I think it's those real estate forums, like investors. I'm in at least a dozen, and it's always, hey, I'm thinking about buying in, whatever, LA. Oh, is there any LA investors? Or yes, and then are there any LA realtors? Hey, yeah, I use so and so. Okay, so it's just being part of that community, and then being be a fly on the wall, learn all the questions, and eventually someone might say, hey, here's your town here, or do the reverse. I got 2 duplexes in this growing town. You guys have any out-of-state investors, right? Both ways. But everyone's looking for a deal, and so you have to join, wherever you can to find those deals. I don't know if they're on Twitter and Instagram, but but I find a bunch of off-market stuff in Facebook groups, and we've got a Discord at the House of AC where I'm trying to kind of bring and cultivate that same mindset, get a bunch of investors together and share their stories and their products and their listings and help each other out.
I like that.
All right. Well, Nick, do you have any sort of, other advice maybe for agents that want to be you? I mean, you slowly and steadily kind of just every year your numbers keep going up, your price points keep going up. It's really been awesome watching you grow into a top agent here in Atlanta.
I mean, just perfecting the craft. That's the one thing that I've really tried to do over the last couple of years, and that's kind of how we started on this conversation today. Is I saw something in the market that I didn't like and started working on how to make it better. And so slowly but surely, I'll get better at everything I do from that front end to back end communication. And then hopefully other agents see that and they're like, hey, I really like what that guy Nick did. I need to do that, because I certainly do that from other agents, Alan included. So so
affect
everything.
If any clients, or I'm sorry, any investors maybe listening to this, but real estate agents who may want to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to contact you and follow up on all the advice you've shared today?
Yeah, if you just Google me, Nick at Keller Knapp is my email address. But yeah, Nick Fitzpatrick, Realtor Atlanta. You'll see some different channels, and I'm there on everything. I don't want to give my phone number out online.
What forums do you hang out in, or for real estate investors? Would you recommend?
Reddit's one of them. Bigger Pockets is another one. And then I do have a pretty sizable Twitter follower that I follow a lot of people on Twitter. I had to figure out the right way to say that. And from there, a lot of that's education, and I follow people in different sectors and really know what's going on in each market.
Yeah, and if you search your Facebook for city, whatever city you want to, where you live in, and real estate investors, I promise you there's a real estate investor group. Pretty much every city has multiple ones to choose from. So Atlanta real estate investors, you're going to have a million choices. San Diego real estate investors, Chicago, wherever it is. But so that's a good way to get started and kind of just learn the language. It's a very, you being a real estate agent, helping real estate investors, to me, it's great career growth for sure.
Yeah,
you haven't cracked that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Nick. We appreciate you on Agent Upgrade. Everyone listening, you can follow this on our Twitter followers out there and Instagram at Agent Upgrade Podcast, and join our Facebook group and Discord. So thanks guys, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
See y'all.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.